Until 1453, when Constantine XI died in Constantinople, there were two Caesars, or Roman emperors, in Europe, one in the east and one in the west. The one in the west was German, or Holy Roman Emperor Frederick III. He had come to Rome to be crowned by Pope Nicholas V the year before Constantinople fell. This was 12 years after the emperor had been elected, according to custom, by the German princes. He had not dared to come sooner because the German princes of both church and state were feeling very unfriendly toward Rome. The German bishops had long contended that they should have some say in the government of the church, rather than accept the absolute authority of the Pope. 3 great council meetings had already been held, at which delegates from Rome had met with Germans to try to work out some kind of compromise. Pope Nicholas V, who was most sincere in his wish to bring about an understanding with the German bishops, sent the wisest man he knew, his friend Cardinal Nicholas of Cusa. Nicholas of Cusa was a true philosopher, one of those men who love truth more dearly and see it more clearly than many men of the age in which they live. Nicholas of Cusa had been born in France, educated in Holland, and studied in Germany and Italy. He had also visited Constantinople, where he studied the ancient Greek philosophers, searching for truth wherever he could find it. We should always seek for truth and knowledge, he said, but we should remember that knowledge and wisdom are of worth only if we let our lives be governed by them. In 1453, the year Constantinople fell, Nicholas of Cusa wrote a Dialogue of Peace, in which he pleaded for peace and understanding among the Muslim, Hebrew, and Christian. He saw them all as various rays of light coming from one eternal truth. This is the man whom the Pope sent to Germany, and who appeared there, it was said, like an angel of light and peace amid darkness and confusion. As a loyal cardinal, Nicholas of Cusa upheld the supreme authority of the Pope, but made this proposal. Members of the council who were in touch with the needs of the German people give recommendations to the Pope, by which his decrees might be guided. If the Pope was bad, he should be deposed by an international council and replaced. Since, said Nicholas of Cusa, by nature all men are free, and every government exists solely by agreement and consent of the subjects. Nicholas V was a good pope, and the words of Nicholas of Cusa might have led to a peaceful reformation, if those popes who had come later had not been a disgrace to the high office which they held. Dissatisfaction, however, quieted off for a time in Germany. Though it kept smoldering, it did not reach a crisis until many years later. Then the German emperor was to be Charles V, the great-grandson of Emperor Frederick III, and also the grandson of Queen Isabella. As he was a friend of Ferdinand Columbus, and was still emperor when Ferdinand was writing the story of his father, Charles V will bring to an end this story of the world, which now is beginning with his great-grandfather, Frederick III. One of the most important developments in the history of the world was the invention of the printing press. The earliest example of printing now in existence is a copy of the Indulgence issued by Pope Nicholas V in 1454, the year after Constantinople fell, and printed in Germany by the inventor of the printing press, Johann Gutenberg of Mainz. The terms of this indulgence were written on a sheet of paper like any other business agreement, with space left for the name of the person to be filled in after the money had been paid. Agents of the Pope set out with a supply of these papers and peddled them throughout the countryside. The agent traveling through Germany found the sales so good that by the time he reached the city of Mainz, he had used up all his supply. To his surprise, he was told that new copies could be made by machine. There was in Mainz a man by the name of Johann Gutenberg, who had a printing press that could turn out 50 or more copies in less time than it would take a man to copy one. Quick to take advantage of that information, the agent was soon on his way to the print shop. There he saw a tall wooden machine about the size of a gate, with a large vertical screw and a long horizontal handle. Standing beside it was a man about 50 years of age examining a sheet of printing which a workman had just taken from the press. As Herr Gutenberg laid the indulgence down to look it over, the agent may have noticed that what lay on the press was not a solid block of wood like those from which pictures were occasionally printed. There was a form made of single letters cast from metal, each one separate but held together in a frame. They were being used to print one full page in a Bible. Then they would be broken apart and rearranged to print another page. Movable metal type. That was the great invention. It was an idea which had taken Gutenberg years of hard work and disappointment to perfect. And yet, when done, it seemed like such a simple idea. It was a wonder that others had not done it before. As a matter of fact, they had. As so often happens, a new idea does not occur to one man alone, but the credit must go to that one who has the infinite patience to work it out. Credit for the printing press, therefore, belongs to Johann Gutenberg. News of this invention spread far and wide. Artisans came from other cities and countries to learn this wonderful new process by which books could be made so fast and so cheaply that even ordinary people would be able to have one to read. Books copied by hand were so slow and costly to make that even the wealthy seldom owned more than two. Nicholas Jensen, master of the mint which made coins for the King of France, was one of the first to be sent to Mainz. According to old court records, on the 3rd of October, 1458, the king having found that Sir Gutenberg Knight, living in Mainz, Germany, a man dexterous in making letter punches, had brought to light an invention for printing with metal characters, sent Jensen to Mainz with instructions to inform himself secretly of the invention. 3 years later, Nicholas Jensen returned to France, but conditions had so changed that he felt it was better to go on to Italy. It was a wise choice, for in France conditions grew worse. 3 pupils of Gutenberg later went to Paris and set up printing presses in the College of the Sorbonne. They did very beautiful work, but when the people in general saw the pages all exactly alike, they said it must be black magic, the work of the devil. They would have burned the printers alive if the king had not stopped them. Later, the clergy, fearing that reading books would lead to independent thinking and heresy, obtained a royal order limiting the number of printers in France to 12, all to be chosen by the king. Anyone else daring to operate a printing press was to be hanged. Nicholas Jensen had then gone to Venice, which soon became the great center of printing in Italy.